Echo. Don't put that in. Yeah, now stand and cheer for your Talking Basketball Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Talking Basketball Podcast. I am Mark. I am Bo. We've got another one for you today, and it's all about the NBA. More specifically, the NBA Cup. The in-season tournament, Paul. In-season tournament.
I'm still not saying that. Hang on, let's do this.
You're not happy with that at all, are you?
Yeah, we want to say welcome to the NBA Cup. There you go.
Do you think they would change it?
I think they should. In-season tournament sounds a bit poor, doesn't it? I'm just not a fan. In-season tournament. Look, just call it the Cup. Call it like the Jerry West Cup, or I don't know, something like that.
I don't know. I read a thing today about it where they were talking how even for like 14, 15 years, they've been trying to do this whole thing and working out how they're going to do it and why they're going to do it. And one of the reasons is because the NFL kicks off around, and there's a lot of coverage between November, December. So the NBA are worried about losing viewers. And I don't know if you remember in, was it lockdown? When they had to move the season, and they shifted the season, so it started.
The Mickey Mouse season, you mean? That's how everyone thinks it. The Mickey Mouse season.
Yeah, that should have an asterisk next to it. Fair play. If Spurs got a asterisk next to their win because there was the lockout,
Yeah. I agree.
they should have the same thing.
Well, they had less games. I think they played a 50-game season from what I remember. Was it a reduced season?
It was reduced season, I think.
Oh, they should then. Yeah. Mark, sorry, I completely forgot about this. You're going to shoot me with this, but I wanted to say this live to get your reaction. Some news has just come out, and I thought you might say it, and you've not said it yet, and I want to get your reaction to this. This is literally out within the last 45 minutes.
Oh,
and you clearly don't know what I'm talking about.
I was either probably in the toilet or working.
The Dallas Mavericks are moving to Las Vegas.
What?
Cubans sold. They're off to Las Vegas, Mark. Dallas, no more.
What? No, that's a wind-up. I know he sold them.
How do you feel about that?
They're not going to Vegas.
How do you feel?
Well, that he sold them.
The franchise is moving to Vegas. How do you feel, Mark?
He's not moving. They're not moving to Vegas. I'm literally looking this up now live. This is. They're not moving to Vegas. They can't.
For all the people, Mark has got sheer panic on his face.
No, they won't. Really.
That was a wind-up.
No.
That was a wind-up.
I suddenly thought, are you telling me? No.
That was a wind-up. If no listeners hang on for 30 seconds, they'll be going, hang on, you hear what just happened? No, that was a wind-up. I made that up.
I was about to have a serious tantrum then. If the second team had been flipping sold under
It's
my
being
feet,
talked about. It is being talked about. But
they won't, because LeBron wants to be part of the Las Vegas team. It's like, because Tom Brady is obviously part of the women's WNBA team in Vegas. And obviously Tom Brady, for those who don't know, very, very famous NFL player or ex-NFL player. So he is one of the co-owners of the is it Las Vegas? I've got the names, not the Stars. I can't think of it.
It should be called the Las Vegas Gamblers.
Well, LeBron said he would love to be part
or
of that.
Or the Las
team.
Vegas Dancers.
And I think someone else wants to be. And Durant is one of the people who'd love to be part of Seattle, because obviously he was the one in the last year of the teams getting drafted to Seattle.
The Las Vegas Chips. Like poker chips. Las Vegas poker chips. Could be.
Yeah, but over there, the chips is Vegas. For over here, it just sounds like fish and chips.
Right. Look, let's.
No.
That was a wind-up. I thought that would make you laugh, but it didn't. It made me laugh.
No.
And hopefully
that
all the
didn't.
listeners listened to that. Made them laugh. Anyway, right, Mark, I am a little bit irritable because I got a...
You're irritable. You just sent me down an emotional roller coaster, and I just got PTSD about the Seattle Sonics all over again.
Right, here we go. I need to go over this again because there are so many comments online saying about the NBA Cup and there's extra games and all of that. It's like, look,
Casuals.
I'm just going to say this again so it's crystal clear. With the NBA Cup, all the cup fixtures are actually league fixtures at the same time. So they're double headers. So they're arranging the cup fixtures as league fixtures at the same time. So there's more up for grabs. You got a league game and a cup game at the same time. It's a bit like the old school in local league stuff when you turn up and you'd be like, we're running out of weeks to play this, and I'll go, right, it's a double header tonight. Yeah, all right, go on then.
Shall we just merge these into one game?
Yeah, it's...
Right, so I had to read something on this, and I will say I got confused initially because I looked at it and they said everyone plays 80 games, and that's how they devised the season. And then from there, the teams that don't make it, the 22 teams that don't make it into this quarterfinal stage, what we're talking about now,
Yeah.
they have to play 2 games each.
Yeah.
On the 2 days that those games are being within that week, those games are held.
Yeah.
That brings them up to 82. Now, the person who goes into the finals, the 2 teams who go into the finals play.
The final 4.
No, the final 2 play an extra game. Basically,
It's semi-final and final play extra games.
yeah. Well, here's the thing.
Well, that's what I said last time.
Yeah, but here's the thing. What I had to look it up because it didn't make sense to me. Some teams would come out with only 81 games because the people who get knocked out in this stage now would only play 81 games. So the 4 teams that get knocked out at the quarterfinal stage all have to play an extra game. But that game doesn't get decided until they all get knocked out, and then they can work out who gets knocked out, and then that game has to take place before the finals.
Yeah, and I think the bit you're trying to get, a team may have to play 5 or more meetings in a season against another team. And that hasn't happened since
no.
I don't know, a long time ago, 60s or something
But
like
that was the bit of information that I think was confusing people because what the NBA maybe didn't explain very well was that, yes, everyone has 80 games, and then you get through to these stages, you have 2 extra games, that takes you to 82. But the people who got knocked out at this stage, it doesn't count. That would mean that would have 81 games, and then the 2 teams in the final play 83. Well, if you are in the final, you get 80. You're going to play an extra game. You have to just suck that up and accept that.
Yeah. So
also the other thing was money. There's still people don't realise money's up for grabs here.
Yeah, what you say? It was like $500,000 or something like that per player?
No, there's gradients. And so I had to look into it. It's 500,000 a player on the winning team.
Yeah.
The second place team, 200,000 a player.
That's right, isn't it?
The teams that came in the quarterfinals get 100,000. And then the ones who made it to this stage that we're at now, I think get 20,000 or 50,000 or something.
Nice.
So even at this point, if you're in this final 8 and you're a player on one of those teams, you're guaranteed 50 grand.
Nice. That's going to be a good night out for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you got players who are earning good wages and they're making statements like, oh, that'd be quite nice. Because it's suddenly, I won't say incentivized them, but we've even said it. The aggression and the level of intensity in these games, whether you like them or hate them, the actual format, it's definitely...
Well, I think it's been a hit. I think it's been a hit so far. It's made it more exciting. They're up for it. People are playing for it. I mean, they're high-scoring games. They have to go for it points-wise. And I think, for me, the big question is now, is there longevity in the NBA Cup? Is this something that will continue? I think it should. I think it should. I think it's just made it more exciting. And I think the NBA has literally knocked it out the park with this one.
Now, I know that you like stats. So I thought I'd give you some stats.
I love a little stato, Mark. Give it to me.
So ESPN and TNT were talking about how it has affected their viewership. And their average is 1.5 million viewers, which is 26% extra than 2022. Yeah. Just because of the in-season tournament, it's boosted up. And then in November, all the group games, 20% up. The attendance has gone up to like 18,000 a game, roughly. But what I think was probably one of the bigger ones, 3.9 billion video views across their social channels in November.
Oh.
Just because of that in-season tournament, it's absolutely, if you think, a 26% increase in viewership.
Yeah, it's gone up. Funnily enough, I wrote down a similar stat, which was the Warriors versus the Thunder.
Yes.
It was like it'd gone up to like 95% viewing figures from this time last year, and it was like, I want to say 2 million people watched that game.
Yeah.
But that, I don't know if that's
No,
right.
it sounds right, because last year they both sucked. So, OKC, I mean, now they got Chet, and last season with Curry and everyone, I'd say
But
they
what
sucked,
game
but,
that was. What a game.
Yeah,
if
great
you
game.
haven't seen Warriors versus Thunder, ended 141, 139. And look, the game was decided with 0.6 seconds left. I love that bit at the end where Chris Paul just catches the ball. Just catches it and just doesn't move. I like that bit. Anyway, anyone who's seen the game will know what I'm talking about, but if not, look it up. But yeah, I generally think they've absolutely hit it out the park. I really hope it carries on. I do hope they change the name from In-Season Tournament, because I'm not a fan. Give it a name, the NBA Cup, the NBA All Cup, or I don't know, something that gives it a bit more I know the word I want to say.
Prestige. What you want to say? Balls. You can say balls. That's fine.
Oh, it's not the word I was going to say, but yeah, it just gives it a bit more balls. Like, you know, like if you say in England, you say the FA Cup, it's like, oh wow, okay, that's, you know, it is serious. This is a serious game. If you say NBA in-season tournament, it doesn't have that same for if.
Go, that's nice, but I don't want it. You've got to covet it.
I'm assuming this is a ice hockey equivalent. Oh, we got the Stanley Cup the other day.
Yep.
All right, it's a big deal. See what I mean? That's what they should do.
So, Adam Silver, apparently, this is all his baby, and the whole in-season tournament was his inception.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
And the thing that he always talks about with it is that in Europe and in other different tournaments, there are more than one thing that you can win effectively. Whereas in the NBA, there's only one thing that you can win, and that's the NBA trophy at the end of the year after you've gone through the playoffs. So that's the only thing in the NBA you can actually win. Now, where it's a league that you can't be relegated, where's the aspiration for it? So they were saying, what can you do to improve it? This is his answer to that. Add something else in that people can cover, people can work towards. But there have been some caveats. Some people have said, why don't you add things like make it worthwhile to the fans? But I think it is already worthwhile to the fans.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, like I said, it's time will tell on this one. You know, things sometimes have to grow. It's only when you got an album or a band and 10 years later you actually appreciate the value of it. If you know, does that make sense? What I mean? You go,
yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, there was something written by, I think, The Athletic, and they were talking about what was going to happen next. You know, is this like LeBron's last tournament, for example? Does he really want this because he, is his last hurrah? Does it mean anything to him? Does it mean more to him because he might be the first person to get it, etc., etc.? But also, like you said, longevity. How long have they got in it? How long can they sustain it? And they mentioned something like putting extra things in here, such as whoever wins it gets an extra draft pick, or something really crazy like that. And you go,
oh wow, yeah, that's not a bad idea.
It's an interesting way of spinning it, and you go, oh, suddenly that adds a little bit more value but their angle was always make it more interesting for the fans. Well, I think this is more interesting for the fans. And incidentally, as you mentioned Mark Cuban earlier, he doesn't like the in-season tournaments. He likes the tournament-ish.
And that's why he's no longer an owner, Mark.
But he doesn't like the courts and all the jerseys and stuff. He thinks it's tacky.
Yeah, I think, again, time will tell. That's what I think. Time will tell. I get what some people are saying about the courts. You know, it's a bit too shiny. I love the ones that have that more woodeny feel. I love those ones. But yeah, look, let's see where it is in 5 years' time. I've got a better idea for the NBA. I've got a better idea for the NBA. I've got one for Adam Silver right now.
You're going to let him know.
And I'm telling you, everyone on this side of the pond, Mr. Silver, wants this to happen. And I'm telling you now, I question the testicular fortitude of some of the NBA players when I say this, because they know what's going to happen. Forget the All-Star game.
I know.
Forget the All-Star game.
I just worked out what you're going to say.
Forget West versus East. Give us the NBA All-Stars versus the European All-Stars or the World All-Stars.
USA versus the world.
USA versus Europe. Because we know what's going to happen.
Well, no, it's versus the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you got Australia, you got Steve Adams, all the players there. Adam Simmons, Australia. Just
hang on,
Luca.
I thought that was to be the first one. Jokic,
it's rest of the world, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah. Giannis.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
No one's going to do USA versus the rest
I
of the
don't
world.
think the Americans would want that to happen because
no, they won't.
the Americans will lose.
Yeah, of course they will.
I think they would anyway.
I think they would lose because they can't play together in that same way. If you look at Luka, Jokic, if you just put those guys on the same team, I'm chucking people like Rudy Gobert and stuff in there as well. Wemby, he'd be in Europe, obviously. All of the players, they've all come from European games where you're playing with people and you're part of a team. A lot of the American players are all based around hero ball. Give me the ball, I'm going to score it, I'm going to be the winner. So you're suddenly putting 5 people together who all want the ball.
Yeah, that'd be... But that is how... The thing with the All-Star game where it was good is where they had that competitiveness. And now it's a show. It's a show. Hey, I'm going to throw it off the backboard and dunk it. Yeah, it looks good. Why don't you do that in a slam dunk competition instead?
Yeah, but they did that. Now they've brought back East and West. Yeah, I think the idea is maybe it will amp back up.
I don't think it will. They're too chummy.
Listen,
you need someone in there who's going to rustle some feathers. And
so what's the famous thing that happens in the All-Star game? 3-point competition and slam dunk competition.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they let everyone in the team have a free dunk.
Probably. Yeah, and the dunk competition. Yeah. They're some of the highlights from the All-Star game. So a lot of people forget that the dunk competition got cancelled because they said it got lost interest. And they cancelled that in the 90s.
Yeah, but did you...
And who was the last champion, I believe, was Kobe.
Yeah.
And then they cancelled it and they were like, it's just fallen off a cliff. It's not to take away from his dunks because his dunk was awesome. But they were like, it's just totally lost its way. So they just cancelled it. And then they brought it back. And the first year they brought it back, that was Vince Carter.
Oh, yeah.
And you go, if you're going to bring a dunk competition back and you say, oh, I hope we get someone who dunks it really well here, Vince cracks up and you go, oh. And you got like Steve Francis, Tracy McGrady was in that as well. I mean, that was just an outrageous dunk competition. And that set the standard.
It was the guy from Orlando that got robbed. And they say,
Aaron Gordon?
Yeah, Gordon.
3 times a charm, yeah.
One of the greatest NBA dunk competitions of all time.
The first one, when I think it was against Zach LaVine.
He should have won the first one, I think. Second one, yeah, I don't think he deserved to win that. First one, I thought he just pipped it.
The one that he, the last one where Wade stitched him up, that's the one he should have won. There's no question of that. I mean, even the guy who won it was like, yeah, I mean, Aaron did a pretty good job. You're like, come on.
The second time, I don't think he deserved to win it. The first time I did. But the guy he went up against, I mean, he did the Jordan actually, I better not say Jordan. He did the Dr. J from the free throw line.
Yeah.
But he put it around his back, didn't he? Or did it was a windmill or something like that?
It was just outrageous. I can't remember.
I mean, oh God, I wonder how many years we're going back now.
Not loads, probably about 8 or 9.
Yeah, that's quite a few. Anyway, right, we're getting away from the cup, but I do wonder with that World versus the USA for an All-Star, I wonder if because the world players are so embedded in the NBA, if they'd be like, hey man, go and have a shot, or would they be like,
so
I'm doing this for my country now?
Here's an example.
Actually, they could have all their own country jerseys on. That might.
Well, look at one of the strongest players in the league at the moment, Paolo Banchero. and Joel Embiid, for example. Joel Embiid has said he's going to play for Team USA.
USA.
Yeah?
USA.
Because he's like, my son was born in the USA. And you go,
yeah.
and so that's why he wants to do that. And you go, hang on, but Joel Embiid is not American. So if you were going to say, let's do a game of, not just a game of where you were born, but where you grew up and where you had your formative years, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, but I think the same thing with football, like the equivalent of football. If you've played internationally for a country, you can't switch and play for another country.
No, exactly. Well, that's
and if you haven't, then you become a citizen somewhere else, knock yourself out.
Yeah, and I think that's with Paolo because he has descents in Italy and everything as well. And everyone was saying, oh, why is he going to go play for Team USA rather than play for Italy? So, yeah, there's quite a few players that are like that sit on that fence. But I would say, I think the American team will have they could field a 15-strong team quite easily. I think with a world team, you could probably get 8 or 9 strong players straight away.
I think Europe will win. Oh, sorry, the world would win.
The only question would be how much depth you can get.
Joker.
They got Sabonis.
Giannis.
Yeah.
Just those two together.
Yeah. Joker.
Luka on the top.
Yep. Yeah.
You're in trouble.
You are.
That'd be a good game.
You've got Sabonis playing like an absolute train at the moment. Even I don't even like Gobert massively, but you can't overlook how good he is defensively.
Yeah. Anyway, right, look, this is about the NBA card. Let's get back to that. So, we're
just floating this out to Adam. Adam's listening. He's obviously a conscious listener of this show.
I'm no doubt that he is listening.
How would you like Adam to credit you?
What with what? The world
with
thing?
that idea.
Oh, a lot of people are talking about that. I'm just voicing an opinion by lots of people.
Would you want a trophy named after you?
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Yeah, but it's not really got a ring to it, is it? You know. Could you argue that's the World All-Star Trophy, the World MVP?
Jeez,
yeah,
that's
the best, arguably the best league in the world. Worlds versus the Americans. Call it the World MVP, the World Champion. People will be fighting for that, I think.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Anyway, right, we're going to the NBA Cup.
Do it.
Right, so let's talk about who's in and who's out before we get on to the quarterfinals. So, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Indiana Pacers, the Boston Celtics, and the New York Knicks managed to get through on the Eastern Conference. The last New York Knicks, they went through as the wild card. Or as you say in America, the wild card. You got to give a special mention to Cleveland Cavs, the Orlando Magic, the Brooklyn Nets. They only didn't go through, like, for example, the Nets on 20 points. That's like scored or conceived.
Yeah.
Orlando was 20. Cavs was 13. So that's why these teams are going for it, because they're just like, we need to get as many points as we can. Over to the Western Conference, I
like the point. Just say, hey, I like the points difference thing. I like the fact that they're making points matter, because you're seeing some really high scoring games, and you're really seeing people attacking the rim.
Yes. Yes. In the NBA, yes. The only thing I don't... How many times did I say yes?
Would you say yes to that?
No, the one thing I don't like about it, like, you're talking about a cup competition.
So that'd be a no then.
That's fine. So the NBA Cup, yeah, that's good. Where I don't like it is why I hesitated, because it popped in my head, is in like youth basketball, when they have like points matter. Yes. And then you'd have the top team taking on the lowest team, and they'll kill them by 150 points, and the other team can't get it over the halfway line, and they're like all high-fiving and going, hey, we beat them 152-3, and you're like,
yes,
congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah, you're ruthless. Anyway, over to the Western Conference, where the Los Angeles Lakers took the top spot. Sacramento Kings, the Pelicans, and the Phoenix Suns all going through, with the Phoenix Suns getting the wild card. Special mention to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They missed out on the playoffs by 34 points.
Yeah. And that was that the one where someone else won, which meant they couldn't qualify, whereas if they'd have lost, they would have been in contention. I think it was one of those, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look,
it confused me because I know there was something like 6 games on one night or something like that, and that was all of those NBA tournament games, and all of those games suddenly made or 6 games in a week or something. It made all the difference between who was going in and out, basically.
Yeah. You know what this reminds me of? The group stage is the World Cup. It really reminds me of the World Cup.
Yeah, I think that's. I was trying to find the article. I think that's what Adam Silver was referencing because he was saying like.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think he was saying how there's so many other tournaments, including FIBA. You know, FIBA have all the Euro Cup and the knockouts. Shout out to FIBA for doing all that stuff because they have multiple cups and tournaments within a whole league and within all the leagues to encompass everyone. The NBA doesn't do that.
Yeah. Well, and this is what's good about it, is because it creates silence, tumbleweed. I'm thinking the right word. It creates urgency because, like, as an example, just looking here, seven teams won 50% of their games. Well, that's too late. Done. Game over. Like, when you go to the World Cup, you lose your first game, you're like, crap, we got problems. You lose your first game, you got problems. And that is the trend I'm seeing here. You lose a game, there's a chance you're not going through. So,
do you know that there was a thing that someone had stipulated? Originally, they thought this whole tournament was going to work and basically be like I want to say a booby prize, but for all the teams that don't really ever get anywhere. So your Indianas, your New Orleans.
If people were playing the
Charlottes,
bench, maybe.
Well, what they were saying,
but they're not.
No, exactly. But they were saying, oh, maybe this tournament is designed so that the people who aren't going to get anywhere in the main playoffs, they got something to play for.
Well, they're clearly not.
No, and that's what some people are going, oh, it's just a throwaway. But when you look at it now, you go, no, everyone's out for it. Although, ironically, 3 of the teams I just mentioned are actually in it.
Well, I think, what I'm really interested in is, in the NBA so far, there's been some real surprise teams this season, especially. So I know I always go on about them, but like the Magic, they're a surprise team this year. They're doing fairly well.
Second in defense and 7th overall power ranking.
There you go. So, it will be interesting to see if that trend carries on after the NBA Cup.
Yeah.
They're now out the NBA Cup. If that carries on, it's like, okay, they're just an up-and-coming team. They're doing well. If they then go against that trend, it would say they were really gunning in that NBA Cup, those double headers. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what the trend is for these teams and what happens.
Yeah, definitely, because I think how they fall in this tournament as well. Pelicans are the ones who come to mind for me. They're having a strong tournament, but does the tournament reflect their season? And that's exactly what you're saying. Some of these teams that are out, like the Mavs, for example, they're out, but they're actually having not a bad season. Orlando Magic were actually top of their division, but they're out.
But that's the thing. You lose one game, you're in trouble. Again, exactly like the football World Cup. You lose a game, you're in trouble. You have to win your first game.
What's the one where they do aggregate games? Where you do what's that one? Is it football that they do ones where they have aggregate games where you play one away and one home, and then it's
like the Champions League?
Is that the one where you have points on aggregate?
Well, so you would be in a you'd be in a group stage.
Yeah.
You have home and away. In the NBA Cup, you just had one fixture, and
okay, that's what I was
home
thinking.
Away. It's
I knew there was some. I'm just thinking of old football games. I don't know if anyone else is listening who might think of that, but you'd have a game and you'd see it, and you'd say the score would say 2-1, then underneath it would say 4-3, and you think, hey, and it's like, oh, they played a previous game which goes towards this as well, sort of thing.
There is potential for the NBA to expand that.
That's what I mean. They could do that, couldn't they?
And do you know why that's... I mean, I'm only commenting based on football, but do you know why that's so special? Is because, let's say it's your last game in a group stage.
Yeah.
And even in the quarterfinals, they play home and away. They play home and away. Or is it the semis? I can't remember about the semis, actually, in the Champions League. Definitely the final, it's one game. No, I think the semis is home and away as well. But the genius with that is, let's just say an English team plays a Spanish team and they lose 1-0. It's like, oh, okay, we've lost 1-0. But then it's like, right, we're down 1-0 on aggregate, and now you're coming back into like a lion's den, like, you know, something like Anfield, Fratton Park, stuff like that. You know, those real huge intimidating grounds. And what will happen is those teams will come into it and it'll be like, right, we're 1-0 down. And quite quickly, it's like 1-0 and everyone's like cheering. It's like, right, it's actually tied, but everyone's cheering like we're going to do it. You got that home crowd. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
No, it does.
They could do something like that with the NBA.
Because of the fact that they've put the value on points difference. Because if you went, let's say, Orlando went away to Atlanta. They played Atlanta, two teams that are out of it. But let's say that they were in it. They went and played, and Atlanta won the first game at home. Then they switched it around, and then Orlando were playing at home for the second game, and then Orlando won. So then you've both won a home game. That's fine. What was the points difference? And that's what it would come down to. So then that would make both those games super fueled, which they are already doing. So it wouldn't take much to do them. But, and I guess the big but, is the same argument that we've started this whole conversation. Because first thing people are saying, they don't understand the game. They don't understand where the extra games come into the league. Well, they don't. And more importantly, NBA players play, 82 games at least in a season. And that's not including the postseason when you've got the playoffs. How many games do football players play?
What if they're in all the cups? Roughly, I mean...
I don't know. Is it 60, something like that?
I mean, it depends how many cup competitions you got, but...
It'll be quite a few, but it won't be the same as
but you'll be getting close to 60.
Yeah, but the NBA,
I'd say
by far
high 50s. I'm guessing there, but that's if you're in the you're in the league, you're in both cup competitions, and you go well, local cup competitions, so FA Cup and whatever the Carling Cup's called now, plus you go to the Champions League. You know, that's 5 competitions you're playing in then.
Each with a different sort of loading and travel time and stuff like that. I guess the NBA must be one of the most stressed leagues in terms of fatiguing.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because someone made a comment that I saw and kind of laughed when they were talking about the London Lions playing back-to-back games. They played a game in Europe and played a game here. And I kind of chuckled a little bit and thought, well, like the NBA, they're doing
1 week.
It's average for them. They're doing it all the time. Like we were in Orlando for 2 weeks. No, maybe a little bit more than 2 weeks, like 2 weeks, 3 days or something like that. We saw 7 home Orlando games.
Yeah, that was particularly crazy.
That was but like,
but they also had, I think, 2 away games in that point as well.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, so when I hear that, I think, oh, it's just average.
If you think that was football, that would have been 3 games over 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then, you know, other than an extra cup stuff. But just importantly, you know, in other leagues, there are, I know in certain like Euro League and stuff, they do have 36 games, but they do have other cups and tournaments. So I know the Lions are the same as Newcastle and Bristol Flyers. They're also and Caledonia. They're all in Europe or other European competitions rather. So they have extra games on their seasons.
Yeah. Well, Mark, look, let's get back onto this.
Yes.
Right. So the Eastern Conference, just going back to this point, if you lost 1 game, you could be anywhere between 3rd and 7th place. Don't forget, it's top 4 go through. In the Western Conference, it was 3rd to 5th. So as soon as you lose a game in this competition, your chances of progressing have dramatically decreased.
Does that mean that the East is stronger than the West?
It was more difficult. There were more teams challenging for third and the wild card spot. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were 5 teams challenging for third and fourth place.
Yep.
And it was just 3 teams challenging for third and fourth in the West. So, what's happened? What has happened?
Yeah, who is in?
Oh, I'm looking at this in a completely different view now. Right, so we have got. Well, I'll tell you what. Now you've said it. Let's do the East first.
Actually, before you do that, I want to show you these 3 pictures.
All right.
So that is the cup.
Oh, let's have a look.
Yeah. It's not in the studio, ladies and gentlemen. Just for all you know. I'd love to say it was.
Oh, but if Adam Silver was listening and he wanted to send us one, that would be amazing.
Do you know what? Even if you send us a picture of one, the fact that you did that.
I like it. Do you know what I don't like about it?
Yeah.
It says NBA in-season tournament champions.
Okay, right.
Change the name.
Right, so that's the cup, okay? Then you have an MVP award. That's the finals MVP award. What do you think of that?
Again, I don't like the fact it says in-season team most valuable.
And it's supposed to look like a ball, but it kind of looks like Terry's chocolate orange. You could actually put chocolate segments in each of those slots. I know where they're going for.
It looks okay. It looks all right. It's nowhere near as good as the
There's
other
another
one.
award for the all tournament team. So if you're
is that an actual ball you can play with, or is it like made of glass or something?
I think it's
what is it?
Like a trophy. It says it's for the all tournament team. I don't know what that means. I think it's just a team award. But the players also get, if you're in this final group, you get a medal.
Oh, you get a medal. I like that.
I like the medal.
I like the medal.
I think the medal looks really, really good.
They need a name for the cup.
In-season tournament champions.
Could they call it like the Jordan Cup or something?
Ooh, blimey.
Oh, you know what they'll do? If the Lakers win it, they might call it the LeBron Cup or the James Cup. So he's the first person to win it, first person to get MVP. Yeah, that would be quite cool. James Cup.
I don't think they would give...
It's a nice ring to it. He has to retire before they name it after him.
Are you going to give LeBron a trophy before you give Michael Jordan a trophy?
Jordan never played in the NBA Cup, Mark. That's all I'm saying. We're going down a rabbit hole here anyway.
No, but it's true. Because Kobe's got one, hasn't he?
What's Kobe's one?
Isn't it the player award? I'm sure it was a player award. I've got to look it up now. I'm sure I've said that, but
shouldn't have said it then.
Carry on.
As you were. So in the West, we have got the Lakers taking on the Phoenix Suns. That looks to be a bloody good game. That looks to be a good game. You've got the Sacramento Kings taking on the Pelicans. And then over to the East, you've got the Bucks taking on the Knicks. And the Pacers taking on the Celtics. So that is the quarterfinals all set, ready to roll. Now, what are we doing? Are we talking through these games, Mark?
Can do.
All right. Well, shall I do the first one?
Yep.
Right. Let's talk about this. So I'll go Eastern Conference. So we are talking about the Boston Celtics taking on the Indiana Pacers. Last time they played, the Celtics... What are you trying to show me? Kobe Bryant trophy for the All-Star game MVP. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. Is he like the most decorated All-Star player then, is he?
I think so, one of them. But they were just like, yeah, that goes to him.
I like it in the...
I like the fact, because that's not like a player's player sort of thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And I like the fact in the Last Dance where Jordan sat there and he's like, hey... If that kid was on my team, I wouldn't be passing him the ball. It's a moment of purity. It's just an honest basketball like that. That's Jordan. Forget all the stuff that goes with it. That's just Jordan talking about like a basketball guy. I just love that.
I mean, the Jordan meme of him crying at his eulogy when he's talking, and he's saying he stole my moves.
Yeah.
But, you know. So let's get into this game then.
Yeah. So you got the what was I talking about? Boston versus Indiana. So yeah, last time the guys played, Celtics won in a destroyed the Pacers 155-104. That was in Boston. This game is in Indiana. Now we know
that's because
Indiana
they qualified higher.
Correct.
Yep.
Now we know Indiana is a hot place to go into.
Yeah.
Those guys will be riled
town.
up. And you got two teams. You got one team, the
Thanks
league's...
for clarifying how many teams are on the court.
I didn't finish my sentence. You got one team which is, the league's number one offense going up against the second defense. So, it'll be interesting what happens.
They're the They're one of the. Is it that they're the second worst defense as well? So they got one of the best offenses, but one of the worst defenses. I think Indiana have. They're like 29th or 27th or something on the defense on the ranking I saw somewhere. Whereas, like you say, they're almost like polar opposites. I think overall, my bet would be Celtics, but
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to go for the Pacers
because they're home.
Because they're home, but you know what? When we were in Orlando last, we saw the Pacers play, and I was so impressed with them.
Yeah.
Even though it was a few years, I was so impressed. It was like when I saw this matchup, it was like I've seen these guys, I've physically seen them play, and I was really impressed.
Do you know that?
And surprised when I saw them.
Their coach is an NBA championship winning coach.
Yeah.
Mr. Rick Carlisle. Formerly of Dallas Mavericks.
Oh, well, obviously anyone
formerly of Indiana Pacers. So he's always been in Indiana. Went to Mavs, won the championship with Mavs, and then just gone back to Indiana.
Well, look, Indiana, they're I believe they're number one for field goal percentage.
Yeah,
and they rank lowest in turnovers. So
I think
they do give up more points than anyone else, or the second. Many points than any other team, something like that.
I'm going to go with the old,
and both teams are doing a lot of shooting beyond the arc, so they match up well.
I'm going down to the whole experience arc. I don't think the Pacers have got the depth of experience. If you look at how many times like Tatum, Jalen, you see all the players there, they've been enough, and especially now when you look at. I think they've got Porzingis as a question mark for the Celtics. But even if he doesn't play, the Celtics are devastating. If he does play, it's game over. They don't have a chance. It depends on what... I mean, look, you all know I'm a Mavs fan. Porzingis...
Are you, Mark?
Yeah, no, it's shocking. Almost wasn't earlier in the episode. But Porzingis in his first year with the Mavs was outstanding. And then he just played off, and then just completely lost his way. I think the same thing happened in New York. So it'd be really interesting to see what happens with the Celtics, because at the moment he's having an absolute blinder. But yeah.
Well, I'm going to throw another name in there,
and
that's Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
Potential NBA Cup MVP at the moment. I think he is ranked number one this week for rankings for MVP.
Damn.
I mean,
for assists and everything, no question.
I think here we go. Tournament stats: 28.5 points per game, 13.5 assists per game, just under 50% field goal percentage. So look, he's on fire at the moment. However, you have got Jason Tatum. He is in the top 10, I think, for NBA scorers at this moment. So it is going to be a good game.
Yeah, but
I think I'm going to go for the Pacers.
Wow. See, the fact
I'm going to throw something different out there just from my experience seeing them. I'm going to go for the Pacers. Let's see.
The fact that the Celtics have Drew Holiday, and he defensively is one of the best guards defensively in the NBA. And he's got a lot of experience. Obviously, won championship with the Bucks. You put all those pieces together in the Celtics, I think they could win this tournament and be a contender for the league.
You think they could do the double?
Genuinely, I think they could.
Wow.
I don't want them to, but I think they genuinely could. I think they've got the depth and the talent. They're very, very consistent.
Oh, sugar plum fairies, Mark.
Yep.
This is tonight.
Yes.
This is happening in hours' time.
So it's actually happening.
So what time is it? It's like
I've already put
5
the times.
hours or
you
something.
just don't look at our Instagram at all, do you? I put all the times out for everyone in Europe.
So it's about 4 or 5 hours from now. The game starts.
If you're in America, yeah. But if you are in Europe or
We got to wait till 4 o'clock in the morning.
yeah,
For our listeners, Mark said to me, he goes, we should do a live NBA Cup game
I thought
and
that
talk
was a
about
good
it.
idea.
And I went, Mark, what time does it start? And he went, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's like, no.
I put the times up for everyone.
NI.
1:30 in the morning,
NI.
Celtics Pacers.
NI.
1:30 Central European time.
I stand by my original statement, NI.
You don't want to stay up and watch the Celtics and Pacers.
No interest.
Watch the Celtics kick the Pacers around their own court.
No interest. NI. No, I'd love to watch the game. I'm not waiting up till freaking 3:30 in the morning to see the end of it.
So that's 1:30, and then the next game follows on at 4 o'clock, and the next game is...
I got all my notes laid out differently to you. Oh, is that the New York Knicks?
No, Pelicans and Kings.
Oh, it's on a different piece of paper, Mark. Do you want to do that one?
We can do, yeah. On this one, I totally want the Kings to go through. I think they're going to light the torch. The bluey purple. I know it's purple, but I always think it looks a bit bluey. They're going to light that beam. It's going to be purple that night. Pelicans have gone on a really strong run. There's no question of that. But
Kings have beaten them 2 weeks ago as well.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's by 36 points.
Yeah, it wasn't. The thing I would say about that was that if you're looking at like Brandon Ingram and Zion, and you've got all the stats, I'm sure they could do really, really well. But you've got De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk, and Monk is really annoying people at the moment. He's doing his job. Obviously, Sabonis, super talented center. They are a bit like, I want to say they're a bit like an Orlando, where it's not that they're all superstars, but they all just really work together in Sacramento. They just click as a team. You've seen the effects. They've just been constant. Now, some might argue they have, Sabonis is a superstar, and De'Aaron Fox, etc. But when you're looking at Brandon Ingram and Zion, they're like two huge names, superstardom-wise. But they just haven't delivered as well. But I do actually have a little interesting stat on those. Was that the Kings, they won all 4. And it was like plus 30, their point differential. So that was pretty spectacular. Whereas when you look at the Pelicans, they won 3, but they lost 1. And the one they lost to was Houston Rockets. It's not really that strong a team. And yet their point differential was plus 33. So they had a higher point differential. Damn. But they actually lost. So, what it says going into me, they're going to be fighting for it. I know Zion wants to sort of prove some credibility. He's had some issues, etc. Coming off of being, the most wanted rookie.
The only player in the world to have broken a shoe on the court that I am aware of in a game.
I've no question that Shaq's probably broken a few shoes as well.
His shoe exploded.
Yeah. I mean, he's a big boy, isn't he? There's no getting around that.
They should give me like a trophy and it looks like a shoe.
There's a picture that's like that. I don't know if it was a recent one or not, because I don't know about anyone else, but I find social media confusing sometimes with the timelines. You see a picture and go, that's not recent, and then it'll be like from 3 weeks ago that's just randomly popped up. But it's a picture of Zion, and he's going in. He's got his shoulder down, and his shoulder's down near the other guy who's coming and guarding him. His shoulder's bigger than the guy's head.
Yeah, you
go like, he's a monster. But at the same time, no wonder he gets like leg problems. He must absolutely batter himself, that unit he's got.
Oh yeah, like the pounds of pressure coming down on his knees.
If Charles Barkley is telling you got to lose weight, there's something needs to be said there, because Charles is not a racing snake, is he?
Charles should have listened to his own advice.
He never did he?
Going back in the day. I always draw on similarities between those two guys.
Oh, massively. Yeah, massively. Do you know what? Shaq as well. There's a great, I think it's the one with Kobe, in fact, where he says what happens when you went to LA, and he said, I found Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme donuts.
And he, like, that was it. He said, yeah, I found that, and then that's what made me put on the pounds.
Wow.
But, you know, all these people invariably are going to go up and down in their weights and their athleticism. But I know Zion's had some real injury things, but he's absolutely coming back firing, and you'll forget he's a shooter. He really's got. He
would dunk on your face and murder you at the same time.
And murder you.
He would like literally like boom, death.
Do you know what I've noticed about him?
And his shoe explode and would land on your dead corpse.
That is no it's no secret. I love Vince Carter, but something flagged up the other day about who was the duo that brought you into the NBA, and mine was Sonics with Sean Kemp and Gary Payton. But Kemp was a vicious dunker. You know, look at it that way. He was like a Zion, absolutely just thundered through.
Yeah.
So I think that game, I think the Kings are going to take it, but my gut is it's going to be the best one to watch out of those two games tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Hang on, you've been going on about Zion so much. Why don't you go for the Pelicans?
No, I think both of them are going to put on a good show, because I think the Pelicans really want this. But I just think the Kings have just got a little bit more depth overall. Pelicans are like the more showtime, whereas I just think they're going to light that purple torch, put the beam in the sky, and Kings going to take it away. But it's got that one for me is going to be the game tonight. I think the Celtics are going to.
I'm going to support
Indiana.
Zion.
Really?
Because I don't want him to hurt me. I am supporting Zion Williamson. You have my support, sir. I support you, and I hope you win tonight. I'm going with the Pelicans, Mark.
I was going to say, imagine if we got Zion in the studio. I don't think he'd fit in the studio.
He would just, well, you're, for the listeners, you're sat with your feet up in this chair, like
I'm in the booth, just
sideways.
He would just, that'd be his shoulders, wouldn't it?
He'd just sat there.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, right, what are we going to talk about? We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Whatever you want.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode. That is the end of this part. But do not worry, because coming soon is the second part of this episode, and it will be available soon.